A lot of news coming out this evening with regards to Tottenham's potential move for Ivan Perisic. Some reports even suggesting a deal has been agreed. The unanimous feeling at the moment is that Tottenham are increasingly confident of completing a deal to sign the 33-year-old wingback from Antonio Conte's former team, Inter Milan. We look at a report from Miguel Delaney that says a 2-year deal has been agreed, as well as a lot of reports out of Italy suggesting that Perisic is leaning closer and closer to joining Spurs. Before we get into that, if you are new to the channel, please do make sure to hit that subscribe button down below and click that notification bell so you get notified every time we upload or go live. And we're not going to waste too much time. Let's look straight away at that report from Miguel Delaney, who says that Spurs are close to completing a deal to sign Ivan Perisic after agreeing terms on a 2-year deal. So that, according to Gianluca Di Marzio, is what he wants. Ivan Perisic wants a 2-year deal, and it's also looking likely that we've also offered him more money than Inter Milan. So Inter Milan have reportedly offered €5 million a year to Ivan Perisic. According to Di Marzio, Tottenham have bettered that offer with €6 million a year. So let's take a look. First of all, like I said, at this report from Miguel Delaney. This came out a little over an hour ago. I didn't want to go live off that report because not the most reliable source. As Rune says there, tier 2, tier 3. But given the rest of the news that has come out this evening, it looks as though, in respect to Delaney, he got the leap, he got the jump on that news. Let's look at what he had to say. So it's the first report out this evening on Perisic. He said that Ivan Perisic had agreed terms on a 2-year deal with Tottenham Hotspur, with sources close to the player believing the London club will beat both Chelsea and Juventus to his signature. The Croatia international is a free agent this summer, with his contract at Inter Milan expiring, and Antonio Conte has specifically named the 33-year-old as a key signing for his team. The Italian met with Spurs managing director Fabio Paratici on Friday morning and has agreed to stay on at the club for another season. So that is another whole load of news that came out today. Antonio Conte has confirmed to Spurs that he will be staying for next season. So we'll even talk about that a little bit later. The good news continues to flow in for Spurs. Among his conditions was signings with Ivan Perisic, one of the players discussed. That has accelerated talks with Perisic, with the winger set to receive, so Delaney says, over £4 million a year. While Chelsea and Juventus are set to strengthen their offers, there is a belief that Spurs are persuasive, particularly with Conte set to stay on another season. The player is expected to make a final decision on Monday, and that is the... We will have to wait for any concrete news, any absolute information until Monday, because we spoke about yesterday, and it seemed as though today was the day that Ivan Perisic was going to give his decision to Inter Milan. So the state of play there is Ivan Perisic met with Inter Milan on Monday to discuss a potential new contract. So his contract is up at the end of this summer, at the end of this season. So as it stands, if Tottenham do get this deal over the line, it will be a free signing. So Ivan Perisic met with Inter Milan on Monday, where they're believed to have offered him €5 million a year. And I think it was a 1-year contract that was mentioned. So Perisic left that meeting not particularly happy with the offer that Inter Milan had made, but one that he was going to mull over and try and come to a decision on that. The thing that was stopping him from making a decision was, as we've heard from a number of Italian sources, including Fabrizio Romano, there were offers from abroad. I think his agent even said something to that point as well. So there were offers from abroad for Perisic. Romano confirming that we had made contact with the player, with the club, earlier this week, and it looks as though those contacts are beginning to bear a lot of fruit for Spurs. So let's look at a few of the other reports that have come out. I wouldn't say any of these are very, very reliable sources, but as I always say, a lot of news of the same sort of subject coming out in a row like this, I think it's almost as good as the news coming out from a very reliable source, in my opinion. There's a few reports from Calcio Mercato journalists who, as we've said a few times, are not the most reliable. Matteo Moretto, who we've definitely cited a lot on this channel, says Ivan Perisic has a foot and a half in London. Tottenham are hoping to close that deal soon. Pasquale Guaro as well, I can't quite find the report here, but said, I think that Spurs had agreed the deal. I'll just get it up here to make sure I'm giving you all the right information. Pasquale Guaro said Ivan Perisic will be a Tottenham player. An agreement has been reached. So he is claiming that Tottenham have come to an agreement with Perisic again on a free transfer. The most recent report has come from Gianluca Di Marzio, definitely the most reliable journalist in this, has very close ties to a lot of those within Italian football. So I would assume on Perisic's side, but also on the side of Fabio Paratici and Antonio Conte. And he said, like we said at the top of the stream, that Tottenham have offered Ivan Perisic what he wants, which is 2 years for €6 million. So a 2-year contract at 33 years of age. The difference between a 1 and 2 year contract could be very, very important for Perisic, and it looks as though that could be where Tottenham have the edge. And I see David there saying backer manager, he wants Perisic, and people start to question that. I said the other day, personally, between Perisic and Kostic, and look, we don't know that it's one or the other. I just want to say that as well. We could still end up signing Filip Kostic, but I said personally I would prefer Kostic, but if Conte prefers Perisic, do everything you can to get Perisic. You know, whatever that man wants, whatever players he wants to bring into Spurs, if he turned around tomorrow and said he wants Saido Berahino and Leandro Damião up top, I'd be more than happy to see that. And if Perisic is this, as Morano says, he's a priority for Spurs, well then I think it's a fairly easy decision to make. Fabrizio Romano now also did tweet on this in the last 45 or so minutes, and it wasn't as conclusive, or I suppose as positive as the rest of the reports have said. He said that Ivan Perisic, as we know, will not announce his final decision today. For sure, Tottenham are leading the race since Monday. They want the Croatian winger as a priority. He's in Conte's list. So once he's a priority for Antonio Conte, he's a priority for all of us. Inter have not yet received any official answer from Perisic yet after their last bid to extend his contract. And if we're to believe other reports, that last bid to extend his contract will be their final bid. And Tottenham reportedly have offered €1 million more a year for Ivan Perisic to move to North London. And look, the pull of the Premier League is a massive one here. We know Chelsea are also interested, so there is a factor of him choosing one team over the other. I think choosing the Premier League over Inter Milan could be an easy decision for him at this stage in his career. But them choosing between Tottenham and Chelsea, it looks as though Antonio Conte could be the key factor in that one. Let's take a look at Ivan Perisic's stats and why Antonio Conte is so keen to bring him in. And look, on the left-hand side, his offensive stats are something to behold. I've picked the best, and I suppose a balance between the best and most important stats. This is compared to players who play in a similar position over the last 365 days in the top 5 leagues of Europe, all courtesy of FBref.com. A goal every 5 games, ranking in the 97th percentile. Similar with the assists, which is down in the 85th percentile. He's good shots on target, 4.83 crosses per game in the 98th, so he's in the top 2% of the players analysed in this. And I think that's something we're seeing very, very much and quite consistently with the players that Conte is targeting this position. If you look at Filip Kostic, he is 7.05 crosses per 90, up in the 99th percentile. So he's right up there as well. A lot more than Ivan Perisic, but again, a very, very important part of what Conte is looking for. And he's effective as well. So top 4% for shot creating actions, top 11% for goal creating actions, and top 1% for carries into the penalty area. Josh King with the super chat. Really appreciate that, Josh. You're an absolute legend. Says Perisic is right-footed, believe it or not. To be honest, I wasn't fully aware of that, but it doesn't exactly surprise me. But you know, he did play as a left wing back in Antonio Conte's system at Inter Milan, but that doesn't necessarily mean he'll play in that position for us. And that's why I said, like Ian mentions there, maybe we could go for both. We could get Kostic as well, because in a wing back position like that, especially in a team like Spurs, it doesn't quite work when you have a right-footed player on the left. We saw it with Matt Doherty, and look, I'm not for a second comparing the Irishman to Perisic in terms of quality or anything, but I think it's an important comparison to make. So I don't really know how good Perisic will be as a right footer in our left wing back in our system. I mean, there's been so many times where Reguilon has got in the back post, and we actually have an update from Sky Sports. So it's been a while since I've done this. We don't often get news on stream, so I'm very happy to be able to use that one. But Sky Sports have just put out a notification through their Sky Sports app saying Tottenham are confident of signing Ivan Perisic on a free transfer after making a contract offer to the Inter Milan midfielder. So Sky Sports now chiming in as well, saying Tottenham are confident of making this deal happen. And look, like I said earlier, I said on Twitter, for anyone who follows me, I was kind of looking for a bit of breaking news tonight to allow me to stream, because there was nothing really too big to talk about. There was, of course, the Antonio Conte stuff, but we kind of knew that. It was just waiting for that final confirmation. It came out from Miguel Delaney. I didn't think that was a reliable enough source to stream, because as you all know, I only like to bring news that is true, to be honest. And look, obviously not everything we say on the channel is true, but I prefer to prioritise that sort of news, and I wanted to wait till there was something more coming in, and we finally got that option now. And Sky Sports chiming in as well, saying Tottenham are confident of that deal happening, which is even more fantastic news coming in. But as I was saying, with Perisic playing as left wing back as a right footer, there were a lot of times where Sergio Reguilon, especially in that latter half of the season, where he got in down that left hand side and he had an option to hit that on his left foot to square it across the face of goal. Perisic, I don't know how good his left foot is, but you would rather a player in that situation is on his strong foot. So potentially Ivan Perisic could be a player that comes in to offer competition in that front line. I mean, we're looking to let Steven Bergwijn go. It's looking likely that he could end up at Ajax after their attempts to sign him in January. So Perisic, could be coming in as an attacker, and then we still get Kostic at left wing back. We don't know what way Antonio Conte wants to play him, but what we do know is that today is a very, very big day in Tottenham's pursuit of Ivan Perisic. Again, potentially getting him on a free. And just to go back to look at some more of those stats. On the defensive side of things, like Filip Kostic, there are concerns there, and he's nowhere near the strongest defender. A lot of people there saying Perisic is two-footed like Son, which is incredible. Even a better option if that is the case. Looking defensively, tackles won, dribblers tackled, pressures all in and around the 30th percentile, so not really ranking too well there. But pressures in the attacking third, he's in the top 4% in players of his position with 4.32 per game. So he's very, very high up the pitch. He likes to get involved, and I think he played a bit more advanced than left wing back at Inter Milan this season. Anyone, please do correct me if I'm wrong. Watching him play against Liverpool in the Champions League especially, he seemed to be very, very far forward. So maybe it has been a different style what he's played this season. I know further back in his career, he definitely played as an out-and-out winger. And maybe, well, I suppose you think with age, he'd probably go into a position that's less physically demanding, but it's certainly the opposite as he becomes a wing back. I just want to take a quick look at his Wikipedia. I'm pretty sure he played at Bayern Munich, played at Borussia Dortmund, Wolfsburg, Bayern Munich on loan a couple of seasons ago. So that he was definitely a winger. Dara there saying he played right back a few times while he was with Bayern. So he has that versatility. He can play on the left, he can play on the right, he can play as a wing back, he can play as a winger, and that's going to be really important to us, because I've been mentioning a few times the importance of having versatility within a formation. If we have players who can play in different positions, that makes us more unpredictable. I mean, if you're playing Spurs and you don't know if we're going to be playing a 3-5-2 or a 3-4-3 or a 3-4-1-2, Perisic is a player that is going to make you think even more, well, where's he going to play? Because he can play almost anywhere. I'm sure he can play centrally as well with the creativity that he has. This will be a huge signing for Spurs, and again, on a free transfer. Will be amazing. Just to break it down to how much he's going to be earning per week. So we've offered him €6 million per week, which is, or God, he wishes, €6 million a year, which is about €115,000 a year. And if we convert that into pounds, is about it's just under £100,000 a week. So definitely not the highest paid player at the club for sure. And to get a player of his experience who's won what he's won and all that sort of thing, I think that's a very, very astute signing for Spurs. Look, there will be a signing on bonus and that sort of stuff, so let's not get carried away and think it's the cheapest signing of all time. But it's definitely a very astute signing. Chris says 678 people watching, now 710, and only 88 likes. Please, everyone, do hit that like button and subscribe button down below so you can get involved in the chat and get more of these streams as the window goes on. I appreciate that though, Chris. But Fabio Paratici is so well known for these free signings. I think one of the biggest ones was Paul Pogba at Juventus, who he eventually sold on for 100 million or 89 million pounds to Manchester United. He brought in Andrea Pirlo when he looked to be at the end of his career, and he went on and had an incredible time at Juventus. Aaron Ramsey, he got in for free as well, and the list goes on. He's starting that at Spurs already. We know Fraser Forster as a free signing is, we're, I suppose, awaiting that official announcement at the moment. We're quite surprised we haven't got that yet, personally. But this is what Paratici does. And he's bringing in a player that Antonio Conte knows very, very well. So, I mean, you talk about when you bring in players to sign them in certain positions, in certain systems, in this, in that, what will we actually be able to do? With Perisic, Conte knows him so well. And if he's picking a player like Perisic, and I say the exact same thing about Alessandro Bastoni, if he's picking a player that he's played in that position, in that system, that he knows personally, he knows how he works in the training ground, he knows what kind of an influence he is around the dressing room. If he wants that player to follow him, if he wants to bring him to a new club, that is massive praise. And it's an incredible signing, no matter who the player is, no matter what we can sit here and what we think about the player. If Conte wants him to bring him to a second club, it shows just how good he is and how well he will fit into the team, which is very, very, very exciting. Like I mentioned, there was more news this morning with regards to Antonio Conte, and we did a stream, it was 11 days ago, on the 16th of May, where he spoke about Antonio Conte and his future at Tottenham and how likely he was to stay. It's effectively been confirmed today. We'll get to that in a sec. Ryan with the super chat. Ryan, you're a hero. Thank you very much for that. Says, shows we're looking for the now. It is a statement signing. Now go get Bastoni, please. I craved Romero, and now I'm begging for Bastoni. And look, very true. You know, Tottenham typically go and they sign the young players who will have a higher sell-on value, who, you know, will be cheap to bring it out, all that sort of stuff. That's gone. I think we still will look for players. We were linked to Alex Scott from Barnsley the other day, also looking at Jed Spence, but our priority and our main approach to the window will be getting players who are ready now and ready to improve Antonio Conte's team at this moment in time. And like you say, Perisic is a player like that, and it is a statement signing. We're going in and potentially getting this deal done ahead of Chelsea. If we get Alessandro Bastoni, that deal is being done ahead of Manchester City. So these are statement signings, and Bastoni, I can't talk about him enough. I really can't. He's an incredible player, and I'm the exact same. I wanted Romero last summer, we got him. I want Bastoni again. But the man of the hour at the moment is that's the wrong one. There he is. It's Ivan Perisic. Let's hope we can get this deal done. But back to the point of Antonio Conte. Fabrizio Romano, one of many who tweeted today to say that quoted Spurs sources of saying it was never in doubt. Spurs sources have been confident for days, and it's now decided Antonio Conte will be Tottenham manager for the next season. He mentioned then that Ivan Perisic was our main target. Harry Kane's new contract as well is still being discussed. Alistair Gold also gave us an update on so a lot of people I know have been asking over the last couple of days about the meeting between Conte and Paratici. So that was held today in Turin between Paratici and Conte, where the focus wasn't on Conte's future, but rather because that was kind of the unspoken confirmation, I suppose, was there that he would be manager at Tottenham next season. The focus was on transfer targets. And Jack Pitbrook, Charlie Eccleshare, Dan Kilpatrick, Alistair Gold, so many different people confirmed that the meeting was today, and that Antonio Conte, I think Matt Law said it as well, is happy and focused. Ben Kaufman, welcome to the chat, says Tottenham will be mentality monsters with Bastoni and Perisic. Absolutely, we absolutely will. But Alistair Gold said Antonio Conte and Fabio Paratici are set to meet Friday to discuss blah blah blah. The Spurs head coach has been enjoying some family time. I want to see where he gets to the good bit. Maybe it's not in this article. Yeah, he says Antonio Conte happy and fully focused on staying as Spurs coach next season. I want to get the piece. We'll see what Matt Law had to say. It must have been an article that hurt Matt Law to write. To be perfectly honest, we know how much he loves to put out some bad stuff about Spurs, so it was nice to see him have to bite the bullet and say this. So Matt Law claims to have revealed exclusively that Antonio Conte is set to stay at Tottenham, and he wants me to do a free trial to read the article. Let's not do that just yet. But the good news is that Conte is happy at Tottenham and he's focused and ready for next season, which is all we need and all we want. And now we're going to start seeing these deals hopefully get over the line. I've said a couple of times that I kind of expected that when that meeting happened between Conte and Paratici, it was to finalise these transfer targets, because of course they've been talking about all this stuff for the last couple of months as we were, as he was getting to know his starting 11, then as he's starting to get to know the squad and the depth that he has at his disposal, which is very minimal towards the end of the season. This meeting would be to finalise these targets, and I felt personally as though Paratici would have had stuff lined up, would have had deals agreed without an official agreement, I suppose, so that if Conte identified a player. He said, yes, we need to go for this one. Perhaps you could just pull the trigger and something will be done there. And it seems like maybe that is the case, especially with Ivan Perisic. And again, as I know we all are, all 900 of you that are watching, we're hoping that Alessandro Bastoni is going to be in a similar position there. And I want to read an article from Charlie Eccleshare, one of the most respected Spurs journalists out there, and he said Conte staying at Tottenham completes possibly the most significant week in their recent history. And this is such a feel-good, optimistic, positive article that I just really want to read it out on stream. So he says, has there been a more seismic week in the modern history of Tottenham than the one just gone? There have been plenty of moments, especially the Mauricio Pochettino era, that were hugely dramatic, but when thinking about implications for the future, these last 6 days have felt monumentally important, and for a number of different reasons. The investment from ENIC, the first of its kind in their 21-year tenure, up to £150 million reportedly being given straight to Antonio Conte for transfers. Conte confirming that he wanted to stay. Of course, starting off, how could I forget, with qualification for the Champions League at Carrow Road and that 5-0 victory. Harry Kane seemingly happy to sign a new contract. Arsenal being Arsenal, also good for us. Let's not beat around the bush. The events of the Champions League, the cash injection and Conte staying, he says those three events are all interlinked. But had just the first happened, Conte might still have walked after just 6 months in charge. Spurs finishing in the top 4 was a prerequisite for him coming back, but doing so alone did not guarantee it. The combination of qualifying for the Champions League, coupled with ENIC's, quote, show of strength in ploughing that extra £150 million into the club, went a long way towards convincing the Italian not to quit. The significance of Conte staying is absolutely huge. Having worked miracles since being appointed last November, it would have been catastrophic for him to have left this summer. It would have suggested that this club and elite coaches are not compatible and created a huge amount of uncertainty for players, including Harry Kane, who have been completely re-energised at Tottenham by working with a manager they rate so highly. There's even a suggestion that, in complete contrast to this time a year ago and all those links with a move, Kane could now extend his contract, which is such a far cry from where we were last year. And I was looking back at the videos I put up this time last year. I wanted to try and find if there's a video a year to the day where we were talking about whether it was Conte coming in last summer or a potential Pochettino reunion, or if it was going to be one of those bad stories of, you know, the contact being made with Jurgen Klinsmann or talks being opened with Gattuso. And I couldn't quite find something, but the difference now between now and back then, even when it seemed like we were going to get Conte or like we were going to get Pochettino, it kind of felt like, that's fantastic, but where do we build on that? Or, you know, it's great if that happens, but how much can we actually take advantage of it? Whereas here we are, 365 days later, we have Conte. Admittedly, 4 months after we would have liked to have had him. We have Champions League football. We have money. We have world-class players who are happy. And now it seems like something that we can build on. And it seems like the beginning, rather than last summer when bringing in Conte kind of seemed like that could be the very pinnacle for us. You know, as if the moment Conte or Pochettino was appointed, we'd all be ecstatic. But then where do we build from there? Right now we have this basis and this platform and a vision and an ability to go and build on that and to actually improve on where we are. And I repeat again, if we give Antonio Conte money, if we can bring in the players that he wants, there's no telling what he can achieve with this club. I don't think it'll be a league title next season because of how good Man City and Liverpool are. But if we go and win the 2 domestic cups, that's our best season in 15 years. More even. That's our best season since, 1991 when we last won the FA Cup. And that is a real possibility with Conte, with the players that he wants. Could we challenge for the league? Who knows? You know, we finished this season with more points than Liverpool had last season. It is possible. I think it's unlikely, but the possibility is there. And the next line there from Charlie Eccleshare, suddenly anything feels possible. It should also be stressed how unlikely this all felt for much of the season. Not just in the wake of those Conte tirades, like after the loss at relegation-bound Burnley in February, when no one close to the situation could see him still being at the club beyond Sunday's season finale against Norwich, but even more recently when Conte kept reiterating that he would only stay if the Spurs hierarchy shared his vision. And I go back to that statement that Daniel Levy and Tottenham released with that cash injection on Tuesday, or Wednesday, whenever it was that the word ambition was everywhere. The word ambition is all over the place. And last summer it was, God, I hate it, DNA. Last summer it was DNA with the Daniel Levy, and then we hear it in the interview with Nuno as well. Tyler, thanks so much for subscribing. Last summer we focused on DNA, this summer we're focusing on ambition. If that's not a mentality shift, if that's not a complete and utter re-scripting of what this club is about could be the best way to put it. I don't know what is. I really, really don't. And the reason for that is Antonio Conte. Given Conte was talking about how fighting for the top four was effectively beneath him, and demanding the club spent big to bridge the gap to title contenders Man City and Liverpool, it was hard to imagine this being the case. After all, Spurs have spent the last decade plus in an almost perpetual fight just to qualify for the Champions League, and although they've consistently spent money, it's never been in such a way that would on its own propel the team to be true title contenders. That they were able to compete to the Premier League to the degree they did and reach Champions League final under Pochettino was primarily about the Argentinians' extraordinary feats of coaching. And we all look back on that time under Pochettino, well, I personally do, as an overachievement. And that starting 11 we had was so incredible. We never had the depth. And we never had that competition in the team. And if we lose Dembele to injury, all of a sudden, our midfield is weaker. If we lose Kane, if we lose Son, Eriksen, whoever it was, our team was weaker. Whereas what's going to happen now with this money is Conte's going to be able to build a team. And the best way I can describe what I expect to happen is we have our starting 11 now. And our depth is really, really lacking, especially with the injuries we've had. So we have that starting 11. And Conte's going to bring in players he's going to bring in a better right wing back. He's going to bring in a better centre mid, a better left centre back. And all of a sudden, these players that this season were good enough to get us into the starting 11, they're our depth. And they're the players that we can bring off the bench to improve this team. We're not signing bench players this summer. We're signing first team players. And these players who have had the quality and the mentality and the know-how in the last 6 months to get us back into the Europa League competition, they're going to be the backup. Instead of Alfie Devine on the bench, full respect to Devine, I think he's a brilliant prospect for the future. We need someone better than that on the bench right now. You know, instead of Dane Scarlett, who I think is going to go out on loan, it could be a Darwin Núñez. It could be a Gabriel Jesus. It could be, you know, someone like that. And it's so exciting to see that because it never felt like this would happen at Spurs. Cheeseroom Podcast, great to see you. Says great show as always, Matt. I appreciate it. Tony Young says, I've supported this club for over 50 years and I've never been so excited. And that's what it's about. That's what it's about. It's this isn't going to be one of those, as I described it last week, one of those short-lived moments of ecstasy. It's not like I don't mean this in a way that it might sound, but it's not like winning a trophy. You know, it's not like winning a Carabao Cup. That's great. Celebrate the cup, and the next season you're back fighting for Europa League. This is something. This is the beginning of something. And if it feels this good now, how is it going to feel when we're lifting that first trophy? How's it going to feel when we see hopefully Alessandro Bastoni lining up in a Spurs jersey for the first time? You know, that this is the beginning of where we're going to get to. And Perisic seems to be the first cog, the first signing within that list of players that Conte wants to bring in. Alpha says, I feel like a kid at Christmas. I felt like that all week. I'm not going to lie to you. Michael says, Matt has spoken so well. It's like he has a script in front of him. Great speaker. I appreciate that, Michael. Thank you very much. Look, let's continue. It felt reasonable, therefore, when Conte was asked in a press conference towards the end of the season whether he could really foresee a scenario where his and Levy's visions aligned. Let's not kid ourselves, not a lot of Tottenham fans did. The fact that the pair's visions have become sufficiently similar speaks to how well Conte has done and how much Tottenham wanted to hold on to him. Alistair Gold told us that no one has spoken to Daniel Levy as frankly and as honestly as Antonio Conte has. I think we kind of felt Jose Mourinho would be that man, and look, at that point he could have been. But Conte's brought it a step further and definitely deserves this investment more than Jose Mourinho ever did. Yes, there were other factors in ENIC making its first serious investment since 2004, but a big part of it was Conte. And showing him ENIC is as serious as he is about properly having a go and winning the game's biggest prizes. And here's that line again. No Tottenham manager has ever spoken as frankly as Conte to Levy. Even after that Burnley defeat in February, when the head coach's stock wasn't as high, he was forthright about what needed to change. Levy, as well as managing director of football Fabio Paratici, agreed and promised to back him come the summer. And just goes on to list all of these positive things that's coming out now. He finishes to say, if he and Spurs go on to achieve great things together, then we will surely have an emphatic answer to our question of whether there's ever been a week with greater implications in Tottenham's modern history. And that's what it's about. It's a seismic change in Tottenham's future, in Tottenham's fortunes. And anyone who watched me last summer will know that I said, last November when Conte came in, I said many times that this is the last chance for ENIC. Getting in a manager like Antonio Conte was a masterstroke, and we owe a lot of that to Fabio Paratici. We owe a lot of it to Daniel Levy for giving Paratici the power and allowing him to take over the the footballing decisions of this football club. But that was last chance saloon. If you get Antonio Conte in, it matters for nothing if you don't back him. And it matters for nothing if he walks out of this club having not been backed, having not been given money, having, you know, not been given what he needed to actually do at this club, what he's done at every other club, which is win silverware. Unless you make it worth it, it's pointless. And if anything, it's a negative thing. If you get Conte in, let's imagine the Conte situation went the exact same as Jose. Who's going to want this job? If Antonio Conte comes in after Jose Mourinho and both of them have the same ill fate and end up walking away with nothing, with their tails between their legs, what does that mean for Spurs? Who's going to want to come into this job? Other than someone like Pochettino, who of course have his own personal connections to the football club. Nobody else is going to want to come into that. And then all of a sudden, you're back at what? You're back looking for another manager like Nuno? Back in talks with another Gennaro Gattuso, where your fan base has to start a petition online to get you to not appoint someone of his worldviews. This had to happen. This had to go well, and it's looking like it has. Certain says off the pitch, the board has done wonders. It has. The board has done incredibly in this. Daniel Levy, ENIC, Joe Lewis, whoever it is, they deserve credit for this. And look, I've been very vocal in my criticism of Daniel Levy, of ENIC in the last couple of years, and I'm still going to sit here and say I think that was warranted. There was a lot of protests that I supported and that I backed, but what were we protesting for? You know, what about any of us fans? What were we protesting for when you had those ENIC out banners at the ground, when you chanted to Daniel Levy, when you were at the training ground during the transfer window? What were you chanting for? It was for this. It was for Tottenham to show ambition. It was to get that investment from ENIC. It was to put us on a level and a platform where we could propel this football club back to competing with the elite in Europe. And that's what they've done. And, you know, if you're not going to give them credit after you demanded it from them, well, it's just an agenda. It's just an outright narrative that you're spewing for the sake of it. And there are a lot of ENIC out people that I call very good friends within this community, Brian Daigle especially, and he's given the credit where it was due, because he's a man who puts this football club before anything else. If you're putting your hatred of ENIC before your love for Tottenham, you're not going to see the positive side of this. And to be honest, you'd ask, why are you really supporting the football club? If it has really come to a situation where you want to diss them before you want to say well done to the club, this isn't for you. And that's the sad truth of it, I suppose. JCC, John, great to see you in the live chat. I'm sure you're enjoying the Spurs positivity. 6 points off Fulham next season. Yeah, look, this is incredible news. It is. Cheatham says, "Here we haze," or "Haze we go." Not quite yet. Not quite yet. Ivan Perisic still hasn't communicated that decision to Inter Milan, and look, the decision could be he could turn around on Monday and say he wants to stay at Inter. You know, this deal isn't done. Tottenham have not signed Ivan Perisic, but we have agreed terms on a deal. If these reports are to be believed, you know, we have agreed these terms and we're in place. We're ready to pull that trigger, ready to get him to a pen to paper if he decides to leave Inter Milan. Which, if we're to believe that they haven't matched his contract demands, he is set to do. John says, "I like Spurs, make Cesc great again." And there we go. That's one thing you have in common with all the 1,200 people here. Now look, a good segue, I suppose, to say, what does this move mean for the left wing backs that we have at our disposal? For Ryan Sessegnon, it's very healthy competition, and it's a player that he can really, really learn from. And look, in the immediate future, this may mean that Sessegnon doesn't have a starting position within this team, which isn't great, but for Sessegnon to be able to train 5 times a week with a player like Ivan Perisic, who has won a Scudetto playing in this position, who has played for some of the best teams in the world, who's played with some of the best players in the world, this is a fantastic opportunity for Sessegnon to really learn and hone his craft, which he has done brilliantly in the last couple of months as well. John, the super chat, I appreciate that, John. There's no need, but absolute legend. Anyone, if you're into pro clubs or anything, by the way, be sure to go over and subscribe to John. I don't need to plug a channel with over 200k subs, but I appreciate it, John. Thank you so much. So Sessegnon has that ability to learn from someone like Perisic. On the other side, for Sergio Reguilon, it's probably the end of his time at Spurs. And look, again, it comes back to where Antonio Conte really wants to play Reguilon, or wants to play Perisic at Spurs. You know, he could want him as an attacking option. If it's as a left wing back, Reguilon is a player that needs to be cut way before Ryan Sessegnon. if it's a choice between Sessegnon and Reguilón to stay, I think every Spurs fan will go with Ryan Sessegnon. And it's upsetting, we still have to pay the entire fee for Sergio Reguilón this summer. Let's sell him, move him on, and then, get that fee back and maybe pay off the majority of what we're going to pay for him to Sevilla this summer as well. John says, I'm a simple man. I hear Ryan Sessegnon's name, I donate. Ryan Sessegnon. I'm joking. Thanks, John. I appreciate it. So yeah, look, it's a very good opportunity for Tottenham, and it's a very good signing to the first statement. And we're still waiting for the official announcement for Fraser Forster as well. It's not just this one move. Let's hope Bastoni follows. Again, the latest on him, as we mentioned last night, is that George Bannister has said we are expected to make an official bid soon. We expect to be the first team getting in a bid and close to Inter's asking price. Alistair Gold said today that Inter Milan are looking for £51 million. And like I tweeted, if they want £51 million, offer £51 million. It's that simple. It's a chance to make a statement again, like this Perisic signing would. Bastoni, I think, is an even bigger statement. If Inter want 51, give them 51. That, I think, is a bargain for a player of Bastoni's quality, a player of his age who can go on and improve to become one of the best centre backs in Europe if he isn't already. I mean, just look at those stats, especially that kind of offensive aspect he can bring into Spurs. He's matching Christian Romero on a lot of these, and touches. He's heavily involved. He's a good pass completion rate. He's progressive with his passes, with his carries. 97th percentile, so top 3% for shot creating actions among centre backs last season. He has that added something that you need in an Antonio Conte system, and that will be a very, very good deal if we can get that done. David Marshall with a super chat again, another 450. I appreciate it. David says, love your shows, thank you very much. Thoughts on Richarlison? Is it a shrewd signing? Richarlison is one that I'm not entirely against, but I don't think he should be a priority for us. I think there are better options out there, and a player like Gabriel Jesus I think would still be a better option than Richarlison. He's got 8 goals and 8 assists in the Premier League last season. He has of course won a lot of trophies. He's a very, very talented player. But Richarlison, he has his own little bit. He's really quick. He at times has been a very good finisher for Everton. He's struggled on the wrong side of the table this season, which I think adds a little bit of something mentality wise that could be very beneficial for him. I don't think he's a priority, but again, if Conte wants him, bring him in. If Conte wants him, I'll go over to Goodison Park. I'll get him on my back and I'll walk him down to London myself. That's really where I am at the moment. But in terms of a shrewd signing, I'm not sure if we could call it that. I mean, I'm sure it'll cost us a lot of money. But if Conte wants him, I want him. Spurs Talk Show, absolute legend. Thank you so much for the super chat. Great to see you in the live chat as well. It says, we need both, Matt. A full season of 50 plus games of Perisic at 33 and Sessegnon with injury prone is scary. Get Kostic too. Both are utility versatile players. And look, that's I'd love to see that as well. I completely agree with you. I want Kostic to come in too. And I've said that I prefer Kostic over Perisic. It's not necessarily a choice between the two. But if it is, I would prefer Filip Kostic to be that man that we get. And yeah, the injury side of Sessegnon's game is a big concern. He's really talented. He's developing really well. He's becoming a Conte wingback, but he's already had 2 injuries since Conte came in, and with the physically demanding nature of the way we play under Conte, how long really can he go? Can he go a full season playing in that position? I'm not sure he can. Fantastic. Get Perisic in, like you say, he's 33. He could have injury issues as well. So yeah, look, hopefully we get both. I really do agree with you on that one. Ruin as well with another super chat says, don't want anyone from Everton who celebrated 16th. Look, yeah, the celebrations were criticised heavily, weren't they? But he's a good player. There's a few I'd take from Everton. He probably wouldn't be top on my list, but yeah, if they're going to be celebrating 16th with flares, if you're going to celebrate with a flare, do it properly and do it like Emerson Royale, who was still a screensaver on the back of my phone. That won't be changing for a while. There's Emerson with a flare. Pretty sure it was in the North London Derby. What a moment that was. Cheese Room Podcast caller, thank you so much for the super chat. Says, my question is, will you be watching the Cheese Room Podcast Awards this evening? Of course I will. Of course I will. I tune into every Cheese Room podcast show, whether it's live or post-live. I'll absolutely be tuning in. I look forward, caller, to seeing Shan sweep up everything available. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you for the super chat as well. Let's get some questions in there. I saw someone say a second ago, can we announce players? So we can announce players, but they won't officially become a Tottenham player until the window is open, which I believe is on the 10th of June. I want to say it's either the 9th or 10th of June. I'll just get it here to confirm. So the window will open on the 10th of June 2022 and will close at 11 p.m. on the 1st of September. So it's the 10th of June, so possibly 2 weeks from today when that window opens. So we won't officially sign a player. They won't officially on paper be a Tottenham player, but they will. We can announce them. So like Leeds announced they'd agreed a deal to sign Brendan Aronson. Aston Villa have already announced Boubacar Kamara and Diego Carlos. So we will be able to announce them, but it won't be official until the window does open. Thor is saying Villarreal are close to Lo Celso transfer. Well, I hope to God they are. I'll have a look on Twitter and see what we've missed in the 40 minutes that we've been live. I have been keeping an eye. So Xavi Jorquera via Alba Celeste Talk has said that Villarreal are closing in on Giovanni Lo Celso's transfer. The deal will close at 15 to 18 million euro plus bonuses. Kumo, if you're on Twitter, message me and I'll send it to you. So look, 15 to 18 million for Lo Celso is a huge loss. It is a massive loss financially, not in terms of the player, financially from what we paid for him. But we know Tottenham, we need to get these players out, one, to free up wages, and also to get some money that we can spend in the transfer market. And as much as we would have hoped that could be 25, 30, 35 million, it's just not going to happen. And we need to get what we can take with Lo Celso and with Tanguy Ndombele. So if that is true, Xavi Jorquera, I'm not really sure how reliable he is. He works at Radio Castellon. I'm not too sure on his reliability, but the story is there that Villarreal could be closing in on that deal. I think we expected it as well. Lo Celso has done quite well, to be fair to him, since he went into Villarreal. So it's a good move for all parties. I'm happy to see it happen. I wish things would have worked out better. I kind of have a soft spot for Clark, Sessegnon, Lo Celso and Ndombele. It's the first transfer window I covered in the channel. Jack Clark is the first transfer I covered here, so I do have a soft spot for them, and I wish it would have worked out better. But we need to just accept when things aren't quite going to work, and I think Lo Celso is definitely one of those. I can't really see anything else that's come through in the last 40 minutes or so. But the main news is that Tottenham, according to Miguel Delaney, are closing in on a deal to sign Ivan Perisic after agreeing terms on a 2-year contract, which, according to Gianluca Di Marzio, is worth up to €6 million a year, which is just under £100,000 a week. Solomon and Kebi, thank you so much for subscribing. This is also the most people we've ever had in a stream at one point, with 1,336 of you watching live, which is absolutely insane to me. If you are new to the channel, as I'm sure a lot of you are, please do hit that subscribe button down below. We have so much content coming up this summer, almost identical to this, hopefully as good news as this is. So if you do enjoy this format, if you think it's informative with our player profiles over on that side, we got our headlines down below, and links to every reliable link in Tottenham's transfer window. If you do want more of that, please do make sure to hit that subscribe button. If you haven't already, make sure to hit that like button as well. It really helps us out, every streamer, when you do hit that like button. I want to see how many we're on at the moment. We are on 424 likes, 1.3k watching. I'm sure we can get that up to 600. So please smash that like button. Jay says, anyone else think Bastoni reminds him of a young Vertonghen? Let's hope we get this one over the line. Absolutely. They're really, really similar. Bastoni better going forward, Vertonghen probably better defensively, but in terms of how they have that ability to move forward with the ball, there was times when Jan Vertonghen played at left back for us. I remember that Champions League victory at Wembley against Borussia Dortmund, and he pocketed Jadon Sancho in left wing back. So they have that offensive ability there. Will score a goal every now and then, can get a few assists. Similar players. Vertonghen, like I said, probably better defensively, but I think if we can have Bastoni, Dyer and Romero, that defence is better than Alderweireld and Vertonghen, in my opinion. Even when Dyer sat back in between them in that season under Pochettino, I think what we could have next season is better. Spurs72 becoming a channel member as well, joining the Championship member level. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate that. But look, we will wrap it up there. Trying to see if there's any more. Nothing else coming out. So Perisic close. We're waiting for his full decision on Monday. Antonio Conte is staying, and I think we're close to a move. Close to initiating talks and stuff with with Alessandro Bastoni. So keep an eye out on this channel for all that news. Like I said, like and subscribe on your way out. Thank you everyone who's tuned in. Thank you for the super chats, for the new channel members, for everyone who's hit that like button as well. It is massively appreciated. We've managed to get up to 482 likes. Please keep smashing it, keep smashing it, keep smashing it. Barrett, thank you for subscribing. Look, we leave it there. Terry, Eugene, thank you, I appreciate it. Atari, thank you to you as well. But for now, from me, as always, thank you so much for watching.